your real estate pros here, Janelle Ferrer.
And Rayce Robinson.
And we're back. So hope everybody fared well after the hurricanes. I still don't have power, but hopefully I'll have it tomorrow.
Okay.
That's a long story.
So we all survived. We didn't get to do the show because we've all been scrambling around with dealing with no power and no internet and all those things.
And vacation, and now he's going on vacation. So schedules.
Hey, we're supposed to always be working, but hey.
Yeah. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about things that you need to know about Zillow. And Zillow is the #1 place that people start searching online. So we do want to talk about a few tips and tricks and things that we just want to mention as we go through the day. So what's the first one that you want to talk about?
Yeah, just that Zillow's been around for a long time. I mean, most people probably have everybody I know, if you own a house, is probably Zillow your house.
Yes.
What's it worth? So that's kind of how Zillow got famous, is they would do their Z-estimate to figure out what their house is worth. So that's kind of how Zillow got started. Yeah. But over time, they've really kind of developed into the authority site for real estate. They've got deals with Google and everything. So they come up in almost every search.
They do. They come up in every single search. Even when you put an address, any address, they're going to be one of the top searches that are going to come up for that address. So. And whether or not it's available for sale. Yes.
And so, and you can tell me you agree with this because, of course, she's the realtor and I'm the lender, which is, we all have kind of a love-hate relationship with Zillow. Yeah, and I would say that's true with almost most agents.
Yeah, I would agree.
And the reason would be that, Zillow's mission is not to have people buy a home.
Right.
It sounds maybe a little controversial, but if you are a realtor lender, you understand that what Zillow does is they want as many people using the Zillow interface
as possible,
and how they make their money, which is I always try to figure out like what somebody's motives are.
Right.
Why they exist is they are extracting, or we are giving money to Zillow lenders and realtors for marketing and leads and stuff. So their model is to sell information to realtors and money.
And that's where they make their money. That is how they generate their funds. So
and they're good at it.
And they're great at it. And we both actually work with Zillow and we advertise on Zillow as well. It is a big source of why they exist. They are a marketing funnel for realtors and lenders. That is what they do. And it helps us connect with buyers and, buyers that are looking for lenders and are looking for realtors as well that aren't familiar with certain areas. So that is why they exist. Now, let's look at the challenges with Zillow.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest challenges that as a realtor I see all the time is, first of all, the Z-estimate.
It's either way high or way low.
Way low. Rarely do I see that it's on point. Even after we have sold a house, they still don't know. They know because now they know what it has sold for.
Right.
So they're assuming that that's the appraised value of a home, which still may not actually be accurate. But what they do is, I've got clients that are like, well, this home is worth this and it's listed for $20,000 more. So there's no way I'm going to pay for that because this is what Zillow says. Zillow's not an appraiser. And so that's one of the biggest challenges I have with Zillow, is that they are not an appraiser. They don't take into account short sales, foreclosures, or the fact that one house may have renovated and had, done things to their property where another one may not have. They do not balance those out. And so that can be a little frustrating. What Zillow does allow is for homeowners to actually go in, if they own that specific home, and put any updates that they've done, because they do want to try to be more accurate, but it's going to be virtually impossible to try to get every single homeowner to go in there and update their services for Zillow.
Yeah, and just the way that it works, just coincidentally, I just dropped the PMI on my house, which maybe the video we can do once. Thanks. But awesome. The Zillow, because we get an actual appraisal to do that, the Zillow is $60,000 off of what the house appraised for. Actually, Zillow is $60,000 higher, which I'd sell for.
Ours was $20,000 higher. I'm like, that's so nice, but that's not what ours came out either.
Yeah. So you want to, that's why mortgages, when a real estate transaction, they want a human being to go out to say, this isn't a comp, don't use it. So it is fun to play with, but, to really get a value, you either need to have a real estate agent doing a
CMA, or an appraiser doing an appraisal.
Yep. So.
And the other thing is that there's times where I've had buyers say, oh, I'm really interested in this property. And I'm like, oh, okay. So when I look it up, it was sold a year ago and it's not for sale, or it was sold 3 months ago and it hasn't been updated. So sometimes there are inaccuracies with Zillow and they don't, for some weird reason. I know they pull a lot from the MLS through an IDX format. But for some reason, sometimes it's not updated, and so it can be a little frustrating for the realtor, for the buyer, for everybody involved, because that home is just not available. So that can be, a little inaccuracy that can really cause a few stumbles along the way. So.
Yeah. And I think just knowing what Zillow is good for, what we alluded to in the beginning, you can find realtors on there, you can do reviews about, different companies and realtors. You can get a feel for the market, but ultimately, and I think we'll touch more on this, the problem with Zillow in our market, and probably any market, I guess, because the way the real estate market is that since the information is sometimes outdated and the good houses that are priced right go quickly, you really need somebody working with you to get those houses, because if you see it's 3 days after it got listed, it comes up on Zillow, the house may be gone. And it could have been a house that you bought.
Absolutely. It absolutely can be under contract, pending already, and you didn't even notice because Zillow has not and probably won't update it for a few days. I've had listings where I've sent it to Zillow because they didn't have it up yet, but guess what? Everybody who was working with the realtor had access to it immediately. It populated on their searches and on their criteria, whereas Zillow, not yet. It took probably 3 to 4 days for it to populate. So that's something that is still, there's incongruencies still with Zillow on that front.
No, I was going to say, so what do they, if somebody like me, because I consider myself techie, somebody that likes using technology and all that kind of stuff, what's an alternative? What would they do instead of Zillow?
Great point. And to be honest, Realtor.com is actually created to help support the realtor community, and they get everything updated immediately. So that website connects right to the MLS. So Realtor.com is a great alternative. Using your real estate professional is a fantastic opportunity. I create searches for my clients. I'm not opposed to people looking on Zillow and Realtor. I actually love it. I think it's changed the entire. It is. It's a slick interface, and guess what? I can get the criteria and match it perfect for exactly what a buyer told me that they wanted. But I don't know their style. So it's one thing for me to get, the actual nuts and bolts of what they're looking for versus them looking at it with their eye and saying, I just don't like the angle of the kitchen, or I just don't like the sink and where it's, located. So I do like them to be able to go in there and look at it and be able to have their critical eye and things that they may be a little bit more specific or picky about that I can't. And so they get to do it on theirs. And so they'll send me property and I'll do the research on it on my end. And many times I'll send them properties and it'll be something that they already found on Zillow or very similar. So at least we're on the same page. So I do like I like Realtor.com. Zillow.com is not as accurate, but I know that it's the #1 search engine. So it's still something that I don't mind my clients using. But just remember that because they don't have everything accurate, and please don't look at the Z estimate as, exactly what the Z estimate as exactly what an appraisal is. It is not accurate. I've yet to see it on the nose.
Very rarely.
Yeah, very rarely. So that can be a little frustrating for the buyer and for the seller submitting an offer. When you're assuming that the house is either 20,000 below or it's 40,000 higher, and then a seller assumes that that's what their house is worth as well. So it can get a little bit on that front. But actually being able to look at houses is great.
Correct. And it might not be like my house. I put in a pool. So I noticed with Zillow, I had to put in the pool for a long time. It didn't even register. So it can be behind the times where something in the MLS, which is what the realtors use, is going to be all up to date because they've just updated everything to get on the market. Talk about probably because once I went about my house last year, the portal actually was really cool to use. Do you set a portal for clients and that kind of thing? I do, and the portal, and they can even like it with a little heart, and they can say it to me. Really good. So, and whenever I send properties, that's exactly what it is. It comes from the portal, and it's a search where I can do an auto search where anytime something comes on the market that's in their criteria, it'll immediately send it to them. They can like it. On their phone too, right? Because I do it on my phone.
And I can access it better than Zillow. Yeah, and so it's really handy. And so talk to your real estate agent, say, hey, can you set me up on a search through the MLS? And you'll get property instant. If it's under contract, it'll send you a notification that it's under contract. And if it doesn't send it to you, it'll definitely send it to the real estate agent. So that is a great option. But again, using a real estate professional, and I'm, of course, because I'm one, so I'm super biased, but it's great because we can get you information that you may not be able to get anywhere else. Zillow won't have your seller's disclosure. They won't have your HOA. They don't have any disclosures or addendums or anything else like that your real estate professional can access for you, including additional notes that are important for the sale of the property that you may not see otherwise, because it may not be in the little comment section that you see on Zillow or on Realtor.com or anything like that. So those are the tips that we had just to talk about a little bit about Zillow. If you guys have any questions about Zillow, please let us know. It is a great tool. It's a resource, but just know full well that your real estate professional and your lenders are the professionals that are going to help you get from A to Z.
Yeah, and once you pick a realtor, one of the things with Zillow, because I was telling a story that my wife actually ended up being on Zillow even after we had the portal and everything set up, and I was just because it's like such a slick interface.
Right.
So, but just remember the realtors that pop up when you pull any random property they don't know anything more about that property than the realtor that you've interviewed and chosen. So if you have a realtor you like and something pops up and you are in Zillow, call the agent that you selected because they can look up all the relevant information on that property
as well. Absolutely. So we hope this helped, and we hope you gain a little more insight into Zillow, and especially how we feel on the other side about Zillow and how we can best help you. So we hope that you guys have a fantastic day, and we are your real estate pros. Janelle Ferrer with Waypoint Realty.
And Rayce Robinson.
You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.